In the quiet town of Willow Creek, Ohio, that crisp autumn Saturday unfolded under a flawless azure sky, with the air hovering at a gentle 68 degrees, nature's own invitation to celebrate love. Over at Grace Community Church, the stage was set for the union of 27-year-old Lila Grant and 56-year-old Elias Thornton, a pairing that had whispers rippling through the pews long before the vows were spoken. Lila Grant wasn't the sort of hometown sweetheart folks spun tales about. Raised on the ragged edges of Willow Creek, she'd carved out a notoriety that leaned more toward scandal than charm. By her late 20s, her trail of fleeting romances, each with men twice her age and flush with fortunes, had become local legend. She had a knack for spotting the silver foxes with deep pockets. Clara Jenkins, who ran the corner diner where Lila once slung plates, would muse later. Never a glance at the boys, her speed. Steady jobs, fat nests eggs, that was her siren song. Elias Thornton, though, stood worlds apart in the eyes of the town. A widower of 4 years, he'd buried his beloved Clara after a heartbreaking highway crash, pouring his grief into his solo bookkeeping practice ever since. At 56, he'd assembled a solid life. A sprawling colonial home in Willow Creek's leafiest enclave, a tidy retirement fund from years of quiet diligence, and a modest office buzzing with repeat business. But his inner circle had been sounding alarms ever since he crossed paths with Lila at a charity bake sale 6 months back. Elias was an open wound, his lifelong buddy Victor Lang would confide. Clara's loss hollowed him out. He craved connection, a hand to hold through the empty nights. Then Lila swept in like a summer storm. Their courtship? A blur of passion that left dust trails. Barely 8 weeks after that first hello, Elias was down on one knee. The 29-year chasm in their years sparked sidelong glances across Willow Creek, but Elias wore his heart on his sleeve, utterly smitten. Lila, meanwhile, eyed the perks with the hunger of someone who'd known lean times. She wore her ambitions like a second skin. Elias's sibling, Evelyn Thornton, would drop a bombshell in hindsight. Our first family supper. She grilled him on assets, the property deeds, the policies, the safety nets. I pulled him aside, begged him to see sense, but he waved it off as bias against her youth. The wedding stayed intimate, per Elias's wishes, just shy of 40 souls in attendance, skewed heavily toward his kin. Lila brought scant blood ties. Her mom, Nora Grant, 45 and weathered by her own string of rocky entanglements and money woes, plus a pair of far-flung aunts, Pastor Elias Crow, who led the rites, couldn't shake his unease. You peer into a pair's gaze during promises, and sometimes it's pure fire, devotion that burns eternal, he'd reflect. Other times it's a ledger, tallied and cold. With Elias I saw a soul reignited, eyes alight with tomorrow. Lila's? They scanned like an appraiser at auction, weighing worth over wonder. Still the day flowed seamless. Lila glided down the aisle in a $3,500 silk number, Elias's treat, murmuring her I will, with lips curved but gaze distant. Elias, misty-eyed and beaming, slid the band onto her finger, his joy a quiet flood. The after-party spilled into the manicured yard of Elias's home, now theirs, under strings of lanterns and the hum of a string quartet weaving mellow tunes. Lila mingled like a pro, all grace and glow, yet sharper eyes caught her tallying glances, probing queries slipping in like secrets. Mid-toast she corners me on estate laws and payout clauses, Elias's Aunt Beatrice Lang would recount. Right there amid the champagne flutes, bold as brass. Elias, blind to it all, floated on clouds. This was his phoenix moment, rising from ashes. He'd even broached dreams of family, musing on additions to the nursery, blueprints for decades ahead. He sketched futures I'd not witnessed since Clara, Victor would say, throat tight. Pure, unshadowed light. None amid the laughter and clinking glasses could foresee the marriage crumbling in mere days, or the cascade of deceit and desperation that would grip Willow Creek, exploding into headlines as one of Ohio's wildest sagas of wedded betrayal and botched betrayal. As sunlight dipped low, toasting the fresh pair, Lila Grant, freshly Thornton, had already uncoiled a scheme woven in shadows, predating even the proposal. It tangled mind games, sham papers, shadowy allies, and a hit as reckless as it was ruthless. Yet in that golden hour, with melodies drifting and skirts twirling, harmony reigned. Elias clasped his bride's hand, blind to the void in her stare, not visions of hearth and home, but a $1.1 million policy, ripe for the claiming, no line she wouldn't cross. Dawn Sunday found Elias buzzing for their getaway. They'd opted low-key. 7 days in a swank retreat nestled in the Pine Ridge Hills, a hop from Willow Creek. Elias had splurged on the crown jewel, a remote lodge with vistas that stole breath, a hearth-roaring warmth, a bubbling spa tub, every luxury his thrift had unlocked. This slice of time? Ours alone, he beamed, stowing luggage in the sleek Audi he'd snapped up a fortnight prior, right after Lila's offhand sigh about craving wheels with flair. Tucked in her carry-all, unbeknownst to him, lurked not just sundresses and scents, but a trio of dubious drafts she'd sourced through back channels. The drive hummed with Elias's easy chatter, reading her quiet as cozy hush. Truth be told, Lila's pulse thrummed with rehearsed precision, ticking off phases plotted with an unlikely confidant, one Elias would never clock. The lodge, a dream carved from timber and stone, crowning a ridge ringed by whispering pines and birches, isolation its finest gift, the next neighbor a mile off. Paradise for Elias's tender overtures, a stage primed for Lila's darker script. Stunning, love, she purred, tracing the vaulted beams, the blaze-ready flue, the panes framing endless green. So tucked away, no souls to intrude. Precisely my vision, Elias grinned, circling her waist from behind. Us, the wild and whispers. The opener days glided idyllic. Elias wooed with flair, gourmet spreads, fireside evenings, strolls tracing leaf-strewn paths. Lila mirrored affection with scripted finesse, a performer in her prime, but Tuesday twilight cracked the facade. Elias, you all right? She probed over plates, clocking his pallor. You look off. Touch of queasiness, he confessed, clutching his gut. Likely that fish at midday off, maybe. I'll shake it. Let me brew some ginger, she cooed, rising swift. And I've got tabs for the churn. Settle you right. The fish? Pristine. The peril hid in the rosé she'd laced with a whisper of toxin, just a nudge to unsettle, to sap, sans swift alarm. My angel, Elias sighed as she tucked him in. Lost without you. Hush now, she soothed, syrup masking steel. I'll guard your dreams eternal. Night fractured his rest, sweats, heaves, spins crashing waves. Lila hovered, ever the sentinel. Sips dosed sly. Tabs veiled as balm, murmurs feigning fret. Each dose dragged him deeper into fog. By Wednesday's light, Elias scarce stirred. Hospital, perhaps, he rasped, hue ashen. This gripe's unnatural, Lila. Poppycock, she countered crisp, fluffing his rest. Flu's brutal bite. Dash to ER spoils our escape. And those rural clinics? Plague pits, queues eternal. Stay cozy here, I'll nurse you true. Elias, frail and faithful, yielded, a pivot that flirted with finality. Wednesday bled into Thursday, his decline a steep slide, endless wretches, consciousness flickering. Pulse a thread. Lila ratcheted the brew, cloaked as cure. Yet her blueprint frayed, death loomed too swift, too stark, echoes of foul play screaming for scrutiny. Thursday dusk, as Elias drifted in haze. Lila snatched her mobile, the one she'd vowed silenced for seclusion, and slipped to the veranda's veil. Trouble brewing, she hissed low. He's tanking faster than scripted. Must accelerate. Ease off, fool, the gravelly timbre snapped back. Blunt kill? Autopsy lights it up, talk screens don't lie. Dial back, let him rally, then what? Lila bit, ire flaring. No buffer. He's muttering ER the second he steadies. Tests? They'd unravel us. Your mess overdid the drip, dimwit, he growled. Pivot to mishap. That twisty return? Fatal bends aplenty. Sick pilot, seized lines, plunge assured. Lila paused, gears turning. My scrapes? Crash claims me too. Skip the ride, he schemed. Feign linger at lodge. He bolts solo for aid. Midnight murk hides all. Nudge to that drop at marker 12. Chasm yawns wide. Survival shot. We can sand slaughter, trap him pinned. Trim doses dawn on. Dusk tomorrow, frail but fogged you strike. Call severed, Lila eyed her quarry. 5 days wed. His world flung open, trust absolute. And remorse, a ghost. Dawn Friday, she paired the poison to whispers. Elias rallied by noon, propped, sipping broth. Turning corner, he murmured, relief washing faint. Your vigils save me, sweet. Storm's past. Still one, she noted, gaze dissecting.
Home more tomorrow?
Mend in peace. Wise call, he nodded. Dawn pack-up. Getaway skewed, but those first sunrises? Gold. Cherished hours, she echoed, veiling a frost-lipped smirk. Yet patience? Not her vice. Midnight loomed her curtain call. Elias bound for Willow Creek soil no more. Per plot. 11:49 p.m. Lodge swathed in ebony lunar glow ghosting glass. Elias slumbered deep in the master, frailty his chain. Lila paced the galley, clock devouring minutes, blueprint etched bone deep. Audi idled out front, fob on the sideboard. Elias pliable, not perished, autopsy blind. 15 to the peril path. Check, check. She ghosted to the chamber, flicking low light. Elias love, rouse, she breathed, palm to his frame. Eyes fluttered, fogged. Hour, what's amiss? Fever's clawing back, she fibbed, brow to his. Scorching. ER can't wait now or never. Clinic? He mumbled, haze clinging. You loathe the trek, but panic grips me. She propped him, coaxing layers. Keys mine. Steady you. To the lounge they lurched, his weight her prop. You steer? He queried, voice thread. Night coils these ridges, fear grips me. But you? Strong enough for town's glow, yes? Lie-honed razor. Lila's license gleamed years old, roads her realm. But helm his, for the wreck's script. Reckon I muster, Elias allowed, fob quivering and grasp. She eased him to the Audi, buckling him pilot side. Engine purred, mirrors clicked. Trailing close, he glanced her form porch-bound. Swift, snag my tote. Secure the door. But shadows claimed her, eyes pinning his silhouette. Head lolled, lids heavy, patience pooling. While he dozed, she'd meddled per-texted lore, not masterwork, but cable-nicked, pedal pins teased loose. 5 minutes ticked. 10. Horn bleated soft, perplexed nudge. Cue taken, she dashed, flinging rider door in mock alarm. Elias latch jammed, key vanished inside. Press on to aid? I'll hunt, bolt it, cab chase our tops. Lila bafflin', he protested, wilt faint. Shatter it or, no, she sliced, edge bared. Lodge tabs steep, weather 100 no trifle. Wreck another's trust? You're ailing fly now. I'll bridge swift. Trust, Elias. Dazed, drained, debate drained, he seated. Ring when latched. Sworn, she sealed, door thudding shut. Tail lamps faded tonight. Pines swallowing. Pulse thundered triumph, not twinge. Tally. 12 minutes to doom's hairpin, 35-foot void. Lodge reclaimed, mobile in fist. 12:21. Text dispatched. Launched. Rolling. Instant echo. Hold 30, then wail 911, frantic. He dashed for doses, vanished in veil. Kettle hummed. Lines for law rehearsed, grief's veil. Spouse's dread, week-old widow's wail. But 12:51. Unknown chime shattered script. Hello? Lila clipped, off-kilter. Ms. Thornton? Baritone official pierced. Sheriff Harlan Brooks, Pine Ridge desk. Got a gent here swearing he's Elias, disheveled, adrift but upright. Verify? Chill clawed her veins. My Elias? Stutter choked, poise cracking raw. Brakes betrayed him, aid begged, Brooks pressed. Fetch him? Medics hover, line died. Hands quaked, furies quake. Elias breathed, and blueprint bled. 2:11 a.m. Lila stormed the Pine Ridge outpost. Highway a blur of dread. Fabrication's frenzy world yarns to knit innocence. Elias huddled lobby-side, wool-draped, tech-probing pulse. Her entrance sparked his gaze. Adoration's embers, now confusion's coal, suspicion's spark. Darling. She lunged, saline staged in streams. Alive, bless the stars. Your absence? Torment. Ms. Thornton, Brooks cut, 50s firm, stare a scalpel. Hubby's tail, lines locked solid. Halted via auxiliary near tumble. Claims ride gleamed yesterday pristine. Beyond grasp. Lila gasped, shock scripted. Fresh wheels flaw how? Our puzzle too. He locked eyes. Rig for haul, dawn dissect. Your priority? Him breathing, she parried mask iron. Pro ball. Rental whisked them Willow Creek ward, Audi seized. Elias rode mute, window his world. Lila's probes met void. Cross with me, Elias. Desperation laced. Feelings tangle, he measured slow. Odd weave. Ailment strikes sharp. You sway me solo drive, scarce upright, then lines lapse at death's bend. Implying I... Absurd! She flared, outrage feigned. No shade cast, he wearied. Merely uncanny. Deeply so. Home's hush turned taut post-return. Elias cued scans, vials drawn to unmask the haze. Lila tallied hours to verdict, toxins screaming. Swift strike essential. Wednesday twilight. Rendezvous in derelict lot, town's fringe. Kyle Donovan, 34, jailbird flame from Lila's scam circuit 2 springs past, seethed. Botched grand, he snarled. Breather clings. Rigs ripped open. Your prince parade. Salvage mine, she urged, edge frayed. Elias scopes, Friday, deep drift. Golden window. Slayin Ward. Kyle scoffed, awe-tinged. Madness peaked. Post-Ward, she sketched swift. Drift homeward. Witching veil, smother soft. Mimics fade out routine post-drowse. Counts swarm such slips. Kyle stare bored long. Cold steel in you, dispatch barehanded? For a 1 mil? Lila's grin iced. Bounds? None, Friday's right cleared. Ward folk drilled aftercare. Flank him, breath watch, shadow first watches. Lila absorbed, intent on inversion. Homebound, Elias sagged slumber ward, lids leaden. Drift easy, she cooed, settling him. Vigil mine. Sedation sovereign, she laced libations, crushed calmants in drafts. Fed as mandate. 3 a.m., Saturday. Hour struck, breaths shallow wisps, she gripped bolster. Tremor thrills, not tears. Bed neared, then anomaly. Lids parted. New, Elias breathed. Frail filament. Evelyn's truth. Victor's echo. All saw your shadow. Lila petrified, heft hovering. Docs rang pre-probe. He pressed, syllables siege. Honeymoon vials, benzos flood, sleepers swarm. Tonight's tabs? Feigned swallow spat when you turned. Elias, hear me, she faltered, words withering. No quarter, he surged, volume vaulting. Lights blazed. Brooks' embrace burst from armoire's shroud, hour's vigil. Parlor bloomed Victor, Evelyn, scribe in tow. Ambush absolute, bolster tumbled. Lila bolted, deputy's grasp iron. Cuffs clicked. Venom vented, Sweet's shell splintered. Silence your right, Brooks intoned. Lila's glare bored Elias, propped abed, pity's pang-laced loathing. Loved true, he stated serene. And you'd reap my ruin for coin. Fool, she flung, bile barbed. Your doddering dupe. Trove mine by right. Haul to hold, echoes of rage trailed. Kyle collared concurrent lair-yielding ledger, break blueprints, brew bids, sagas twist. Lila's finale gambit, brazen beyond badge-worn jaws, painting Elias's pyre, world convinced. Vanderburg lockup claimed her. Probes met stone via counsel Simon Riley, 42, jaded by jests like hers. Yet 3 dawns post-bars. Theater peaked. Nora stormed post, clutching demise writ. Elias Thornton, penned, succumbed to Tuesday morn ticker taxed by tumult's toll. Flawed my girl may be, Nora wailed to Brooks, salt staged on creased cheeks. But slayer? Nay, nature's thief stole him gentle. Brooks scanned seal, doubt dawning. Scribe from 1 Victor Hale, M.D., yanked 2 falls back for ethics eclipse. Ma'am, he evened. Forgery stink clings. Elias chatted crisp this morn, vital as valor. Blind to fact, Nora pressed, pitching wild. Rights dawn at Elmwood casket sealed. Veil lifted. Jail whispers to Nora, Kyle, bailed by phantom purse, unspooled the phantom pyre. Scheme stark, unhinged. Convinced demise. Dissolve doom's charge. How harry a ghost. Shift script to serene fade. Payout perch. Thursday's right at Elmwood. Lid locked, throng thin. Nora's hires padding ranks, crook cleric haste hymning. Farewell, Elias Thornton, fraud intoned. Claimed swift by frailty's fist. Undercover trio chronicled covert, lenses lurking. Rights rushed, box ballast buried sank soil. Nora's sob staged, kin-conned to conviction. Deception duped fringes, but Lila's lapse loomed lethal. Bond bid braced post-rights brace. Banking deceased, doused attempts fire. Friday 10. Vanderburg Hall heaped. Press pack, gawkers, Elias's enclave. Lila chained yet smirk sovereign. Honor, Riley pled. Void counts, target tumbled natural, Doc's decree. Objection, Cole countered, rising. Defense dares dupe this bench. Dupe? Riley bridled. Corpse committed. Seals stamped. Portals parted then. Elias strode living, stride sure. Hush hammered absolute. Lila wheeled languid palette pandemonium, ivory to scarlet, ghost to grit. Never. She gasped, then Gale. Never I witnessed your wane. Eyes lied, Elias evened, advancing aisle. For you felled no fatal tries tallied, all thwarted, Gavel thundered. Hargrove's plea pierced pandemonium, 10 ticks to tame tumult. Lila babbled broken, Riley rifling runes non-existent. Ms. Thornton, Hargrove honed. Verdict veiled blade, not lone lunges at life, but brazen burial of breath. Bench's betrayal, scorn's summit. Cole unveiled vault tapped talks Lila Kyle. Farm fakes, Audi autopsy, sabotage Stark, midnight Mike catching Fane. Premeditated predation, he proclaimed. Greed's grim geometry, vows veiled venom, legacy her lure. Kyle chained in, crumbling to compact. January whisper. He winced, evading her glare. Mark prime. Affluent ache, Clara's cave. Quests, policies probed. Poison's phantom, pedal ploys. Blueprint bridal's birth. Nora netted Hall's heel, falsify, fleece, foil pinned. Hail hauled, quill quashed, 5 falls. Lila Grant Thornton's tribunal timed August's swelter. Peers pondered pair hours, guilty gale. Bid slay, sham, scribe scorn, bench blight. Hargrove's hammer fell firm. Lila Grant Thornton, remorse a relic, soul scourged void. I bind you 32 winters, unyielding first 24. No sob, no shriek, gaze grazed Elias final. Half that hoard? You'd have unworthy. Kyle clipped 12 for compact. Nora notched 6. Hale halved to 4, oath obliterated. Coda springs thaw, 6 moons on. Elias lounged Lanai, February's balm brewing brew with Evelyn. Victor. Heart's harbor? She ventured velvet. Silence savored feeder fowls his muse. Stung, sightless shame he owned at last. Yet graced, breath's boon, bonds that braced and broke the bind. Rebirth's gift, split swift, Lila's lack of fight. Policy purged, manner moored his. Audi's husk? Donated to caution's cloister, lesson lashed. Courtship encore? Victor ventured. Elias's curve crooked soft. Horizon hence, but flags? Friends flare I'll heed, and vet deep henceforth. Lila Elias lore leaped ledgers. True tale tells. Fraud forums. Phantom pyre etched annals audacity. Decade's daftest dollar doom. For Elias, etchings endured. Trust's tender, guards gain. Kin's core. For Lila, iron's isolation, thrice decades doze on avarice's ash.